What's going on, guys? It's Gage with Goo Gaming here, and we got the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only
Elijah Green.
All right, Mr. Green. What did you win today? And tell us what you did.
I got 5th place at the TTD Louisville Regional. Shout out to TTD.
Big dope, big dope. All right, my man. Well, let's check out the Goo.
All right, I played Spright, Brave, Punk. So
Hot.
just playing all the good cards of the engine and the least amount of the bad cards of the engine. So all the great spells: triple prosperity, triple right, triple starter, triple e-telly. This deck's prosperity is especially good in this deck because finding any of these cards when you're missing them just like multiplies the amount of hand traps you can play through. So very happy with all those. Those are the main power spells. And then of course Faithful Draco back for the Brave engine, Smashers for the Sprite stuff, and then Called by Foolish because Called by is still legal for some reason. And Foolish gets you everything. It can be a tuner because we're playing Plague Spreader. It can be a Brave start. So. And then Scythe, please ban it. Yeah, the whole point of this deck is just Turbo Scythe. The combo can standby Scythe your opponent with one card, so it's extremely good.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Then the Brave cards, Triple Temple, Griffin, of course. And then the Sprite Engine, probably the most interesting part. You just play 1 blue, 1 jet, 1 red.
Really? Why just this ratio?
Because you're not playing a lot of level 2s, of course. We're playing like the Punk stuff, a lot of hand traps, a lot of right cards. This is just stuff you want to get to off a Gigantic. They're not terrible to draw because you can just normal and make an elf and bring it back and still work under the Brave stuff, but yeah, you just want to play the smallest amount so you don't brick on them. You still have to play red to like add the interruption, and so you can activate starter to trigger your Dagda, which is how you do the Standby Scythe combo.
Okay.
So. And then probably the best card in my deck, Plague Spreader. Ignore that one of them's not ulti. Yeah, this card's insane. It's 1 card, full combo because we play All Mirage. You can resolve it over and over again because you put back your Draco back, overlay with it so it'll go back to grave, and it's just like every turn you're summoning it back, searching Draco back, putting it back like over and over again.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, card's very good. And then and it's also what you summon off Gigantic generally if you start with the Sprite cards, and it's what you always summon off Hulk. That's why you play 2s. So if you summon 1 off Gigantic, you need to be able to make Hulk, and it's better to be able to summon a second one because that card's not once per turn for some reason. And then Punk Engine, just the really small one that you see play in the big pile decks. Just, you know, it's your e-telly target. This one's pretty good to draw. This one's terrible. This is good if you don't open a Brave card, but if you do, it kind of sucks. So. And then for the defensives, I played triple Dark Ruler, triple Imperm. I wanted to like play a good amount of ones I could hit off Prosperity and dig for. And then Ash, every deck has to play 3 of it. Card's great. Valor, you want to play like a decent amount of normal summonable hand traps because I had a ton of games today where I would literally just open like a right and a bunch of hand traps, but you just normal one, make Hulk, and it ends on like Dagda with your Hulk Engrave, Elf, Smashers, everything. And then Gamma as well, you know, you're playing a Brave deck, so when they Ash your Enchantress, they lose usually because you have Gamma. And then it also, you have to play this because you're only playing 1 Z on them, so you need another target for additional e-tellies in the future. And sometimes summoning a 2 to turn your sprites on is important. So
Dope.
So that's all for the main deck. It's 46 cards, I believe. You have to go a little over 40 just to be able to fit the right amount of hand traps and still see enough of them. We'll do the extra deck real quick. All Mirage for the Plague Spreader. IP, when you open Nice, you can end on Elf Dag to IP as well, so it just like adds another interruption. And then double Elf comes up in the grind, you have to play 2 of them. Hulk, best card in the game, card's disgusting. Dagda for Scythe. Dark, so you can take their sprites and go crazy with them. And usually lets you get into like a Gigantic play. Even if you just take anything, you can go into an Elf, bring back a guy, and then usually start comboing off. And then Celine, never made this today. I'd probably cut this to play Zeus. It just doesn't come up. You're always summoning Plague Spreader off your Hulk. So yeah, I'd probably cut this for Zeus because that came up once today. Unicorns, generally the link 3 you're making when you're access code killing them on the follow-up, but if they don't scoop after you sack them, which was usually the case. And then access code, of course. 2 Gigantic. I never summoned the second one. I don't think you have to play it. So changes going forward, probably take out Selene, second Gigantic, play like Downward Zeus. Can help you like clean up certain game states without having to activate cards, but just like going for a giant Zeus play.
Right.
And then the Synchro stuff, TG, Chaos Ruler. You don't actually make this unless you're going second usually, because when you get to the Deer and Zeoman, you'll just make Hawks, summon back Foxy off Deer, and summon Plague, so that you can make Baron, bring back Plague, and then Gigantic, go for the full Sprite combo.
Yeah.
But this is important for going second. Gives you a chance to hit like a Temple or a Sprite card to help force out interruptions and just like push through boards. And then Baron, of course. And then side deck, We Hate Trap cards, Reboot, Duster, Triple Evenly. I figured out real quick, this is honestly one of the best cards against Tier Lament because they don't really put up negates.
No.
And the card that ruins you is the back row cards. So like I was even bringing in like Duster, Triple Evenly against them because like I could beat a Dracus Tapelia or a Mirror Jade. It's just when they use the trap, flip your guy down, get to fuse for like a window or something, that's when you lose. So this card was really good against Tier. Glad I played it. Triple Nib just for the random rogue decks and to put in 3 more cards versus Sprite because this paired with like any other hand trap is really good against them even though it sucks on its own. And it's also there for stuff like Math Mech, you know, any random rogue decks you play. And then the going first cards, Triple Trap Trick, Triple Sanctum. This is insane. When you open these, you can just do your combo to give yourself as much follow-up as possible because this is how you're going to sight them. So you just like put up a negate and give yourself as much follow-up as possible so that the board breakers don't matter. And you just flip this up after they dark rule you and they lose. And Trap Tricks can also go for imperm, so it's like okay to draw these 2 together. And then 1 Lancia to pair with these, just out of respect for Flunder, you know. You gotta take the scythe out, so being able to like stand by Lancia them is pretty crazy. And pairs well with these for when you're going first against them. Didn't play any, but I think it's worth the 1 slot inside deck to be prepared for it.
Yep. All right, my man. Well, any shout-outs or anything?
Shout out my team, JNC Collectibles. Shout out Good Gaming for doing the deck profile.
Yes, sir.
Of course,
We appreciate you.
And shout out all my homies, you know, the friends.
Yes, sir. Let's go, boys. All right, my man. Well, we thank you so much for your time.